Welcome back to another episode of the Real Forno Show. We have more breaking news. The Minnesota Vikings have made another signing. This one much bigger than tight end Josh Oliver in former New Orleans Saints edge rusher Marcus Davenport. The deal, per NFL Network's Ian Rapoport, is for 1 year and $13 million. How that is structured is going to be very key because Davenport has lost a lot of time due to injury and is viewed as a high upside player that has never truly been able to put it together during his 5 years with the New Orleans Saints. But I think there's a lot of talent to work with. Plus, he's only 27 years old, and I think that's going to be a really key factor here. As we bring in producer Dave up in the top right corner, as always. Dave, this is a very interesting one, and I'm very, very excited about it. Unfortunately, it likely signals the end for edge rusher Za'Darius Smith, and we should probably be expecting that news to drop sometime on Tuesday. How do you feel about bringing Marcus Davenport into the fold?
I like it. He has upside. He was thought that he could be elite, but he's struggled with injuries. Well, guess what? Who has the best training staff in the league?
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that will help him. He has played 5 years. He is a young defensive end. He will be turning 27 this season. He's 26 and 5 months right now. So he's still got plenty of playing time. He is technically going into his prime, but they're gambling on a 1-year deal it's a prove it sort of deal. And I think he will match up well with Danielle Hunter on the other side. It still emphasizes, though, that they need to restructure Danielle.
Yeah, they do need to figure out something with Danielle Hunter's contract, and I don't know how much restructuring per se they can do.
Extension.
But they should
Put it that way.
extension. They should give him more money, and they should figure out a way to make that happen. I don't know how they're going to maneuver everything because they're still over the cap. Not even over the cap has the fully updated details for the Jordan Hicks and Chris Reed pay cuts. We're going to call them instead of restructures because that's what they are. And one interesting thing here, Dave, is let's talk about Za'Darius Smith for a minute, and then we're going to circle back and talk about what Marcus Davenport brings to this team. Za'Darius Smith asked for more money, essentially, from everything that we've heard. And the Vikings are like, nah, we're good. And then he's like, okay, see ya. And then tweeted out that he thank you to the Vikings, and he's already sold his house because he figured he was going to be playing somewhere else. I have not heard if anybody has offered anything substantial for Za'Darius Smith, but I have a feeling a trade might be on the horizon. And if it's not, he's probably going to be released for the $12.16 million in salary cap space to accommodate Marcus Davenport, who, quite frankly, fits the style of what Brian Flores wants better.
Could be. It'd be awesome to have all three of them on the team. Z, Hunter, and Davenport. But it's who knows what happens with Z. Obviously, there was a miscommunication there. It's not the first time there's been miscommunication. We learned today Patrick Peterson, when he signed with the Steelers, that he wanted to be back with the Vikings, but he wanted at least a 2-year deal with the Vikings. And they were insisting on a 1-year deal. Mm-hmm. So he went to the Steelers. There might be some disconnect there, but there may be a reason behind it. And it's that setting up for 2024 is being the reason.
Absolutely. And that 1-year deal, I think, really accentuates that point. But it also talks about how Marcus Davenport's just been inconsistent. And I know you have a graph kind of showing his relative athletic score in comparison to Danielle Hunter. And I think this is going to be very interesting to talk about. Danielle Hunter was obviously a freak athlete at just over 6 foot and 252 pounds, 98.9th percentile. Marcus Davenport is no slouch himself at 96.3rd percentile. The 10-yard split and the 89th and the 40-yard dash and the 98th. Plus, he can jump like a freak. You can kind of take a look. You wish his 3-cone was a little better, but I don't think that he's going to be used in the same way as Danielle Hunter. I think Marcus Davenport is going to be used like Trey Flowers. If you remember Flowers, he was a star with the Patriots. They took him, I think, in the second or third round. And one thing with Flowers, he was never the best athlete. I have his relative athletic score pulled up here. He had bigger arms at 34 and a quarter, but he was only 6'2", 266, and they used him like a wrecking ball. They used him like a power guy, and it worked because his 10-yard split's only in the 33rd percentile, his 40's in the 39th percentile, but he could jump and was explosive in doing so. He was able to utilize that speed to power and really wreak havoc on those Patriots teams. And I have a feeling that Davenport is going to be here to do the same thing. It's also, in my crazy little brain, why I think the Vikings might actually be looking at pairing Davenport with both Za'Darius and Danielle Hunter, because they would be able to use all three of those guys both on the edge and on the inside to do some crazy stuff. And with how exotic some of these blitzes are, Dave, that could really wreak havoc and make a lot of damage for opposing teams.
It would be a nightmare for that center calling the line or the opposing quarterback. Oh my God, I got three of them. What do I do? Mm-hmm. And and a big guy in the middle that's pushing upwards. Aha! Oh! I could feel the heartburn generating already. I love it.
Now, we do have to talk about the injury history for Davenport. Throughout his career, starting through 2018 to 2022, has never played more than 15 games. 13, 13, 11, 11, and 15 just this past year. Davenport has only started every game in a single season one time, and that was in 2019, where he did start all 13 games. He had 6 sacks. But in 2021, he had 9 sacks and 9 tackles for loss. His best year. I don't believe he was a fifth-year option guy. I think he signed a 1-year deal to remain with the Saints, and now he is with the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm very excited about this player. One thing that's interesting that I think will endear him to you, Dave, Marcus Davenport had part of one of his pinkies amputated this offseason.
Oh.
He is Ronnie Lott on the defensive end, baby.
Who needs a pinky anyways? You grab with these fingers.
Only guitarists and piano players. That's about it. Now, this is going to be
my favorite guitarist was like that.
Who is that?
Jerry Garcia, baby. Ding, ding, ding,
oh, okay.
And he did that on purpose too, just so he could play the guitar better.
Man, people are badasses, and here I am sitting here drinking a beer and relaxing. In the meantime, this is going to be a very interesting way how this all shakes out, because the Vikings are set to projected at $20 million to their salary cap. Now, that could easily change, Dave, because we don't have numbers for restructures yet. I'm currently pulling up over the cap right now. We don't have the numbers for the Chris Reed restructure. We don't have numbers for the Jordan Hicks restructure / pay cut. And we don't have numbers for what the Josh Oliver deal is going to be structured like. Some of these we already do. We don't have it here. And I think that is a really big thing to helping us project forward and what we're going to be able to do for the rest of free agency. We're just not there yet. And I'm very intrigued to see what this team does. It's obvious it's 2024. 2024 is the year. And if Marcus Davenport balls out, guess what? You just give him money. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it. You give him money.
You give him an extension. He will have earned that extension. Yes.
Yeah. I remember liking him coming out of the 2018 draft. Kind of a late riser, obviously, out of TSA, Texas San Antonio. They're a blooming program now, but back then they were really an afterthought, especially in Conference USA. They are figuring things out. I'm really excited, Dave. We are getting talented players, and I want to point out a tweet from Will Ragetz of Sports Illustrated, and he really said something interesting in here. I apparently don't have it pulled up.
Well, you talk about salary cap. We have about 40 hours off the top of my head, maybe a little bit more, before they need to be compliant. So the next, almost 2 days, it's going to be wild as we hear restructures. And there could be simple things as, making more bonus for Brian O'Neill, etc., to get underneath.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We will find out. And here's the tweet. Vikings reported free agent signings Josh Oliver and Marcus Davenport have a few things in common, Dave. They're both 26 or 27 years old, so they're right in the middle of their prime. Their production doesn't wow you, but they have upside with size and athleticism. And because of their injury issues, the Vikings are leaning on their training staff, as who you mentioned is one of the best in the leagues. And they proved to be a bigger upgrade over Eric Sugarman than we would have expected. And obviously, we've heard some things about Sugarman ever since his departure.
Yeah.
This is what I like. I really like this front office and how they're approaching things. They're not panicking. It feels like they're being really concise. They're finding their targets and they're attacking their targets. Merlin's just all excited about this signing too. I don't blame him.
He is. He wants to go out.
Fair enough. And then you look at all these other things, Dave. One thing that I really like about this, the Vikings are playing the stock market, and we expected this from Kwesi adofo-mensah. He's taking a look at opportunity, and he's trying to pounce on it. I have a piece coming out on Tuesday for Zone Coverage where I wrote about the Josh Oliver signing and how it is capitalizing on the market. And I talked about it a little bit in the Josh Oliver video. You can go check that out on the YouTube channel. The big thing is wide receiver 2s are costing like $15-16 million a year on second contracts. A top tight end costs about that. So you get a guy you think who can continue to blossom and be a really good pass receiving option while also proving to be a really good run blocker, because he came into the NFL as only a receiver and not a blocker. So he learned how to block in the NFL and now is a really good one. This is a high upside signing. And while I didn't understand it at first, the more I looked into it, the more I thought about it, the more I started to like it and understand the vision of Kwesi adofo-mensah. Plus, now they have an insurance policy for if something unforeseen happens and they can't get a deal done with TJ Hawkinson, or they choose not to. Now they have a tight end in the wings. And they can also run 12 personnel, which is something that the Super Bowl teams last year, the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs, they were the top 2 teams in terms of EPA when it came to passing out of 12 personnel, because you can really create some evil matchups for yourself by getting these tight ends who can just crush linebackers who shouldn't be in coverage. I'm very intrigued to see how this evolves. Is Kevin O'Connell going to be more Shanahan-pilled and go with the 12 personnel, or is he going to be more McVay-pilled and continue with the 11, a lot of stuff out of shotgun? I'm very intrigued to see how this offense grows and adapts. This is going to be a really fun offseason. Continue to make sure that you have those notifications turned on. We're going to be posting videos anytime news happens. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell all your friends, because this is a brand new channel and we are excited to build it from the ground up and make this the best Vikings coverage to pair with the best written Vikings coverage at VikingsWire.com that you are going to find out in the ecosphere. Dave, any last words?
I'm just excited. The potential, what we're seeing is, I think, awesome. And if he stays healthy, it's going to be a great addition. The plan is coming together, and I like that.
It absolutely is coming together. And if you are listening to this, there's going to be a lot of Marcus Davenport stuff already up on VikingsWire.com. So make sure you go check it out. In the meantime, thank you for watching, tuning in. SKOL Vikings.
SKOL Vikings. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notifications. It helps us grow this community that we all love, our Minnesota Vikings. And on behalf of Tyler Fornes and myself, Dave Stefano, thank you so dearly for watching The Real Forno Show. SKOL, everyone!